Was it drugs or something?
He was paid to do it.
He was paid to do it?
Yeah.
Where were you shot?
In my hands, my legs several times, like 5 times in my hands, and then in my legs, and then in my face. I got shot right here. I was sitting in the car. He was waiting. He was double parked. He was waiting on me.
Say you had it tough is to put it mildly. I mean, you were left without a parent at 8 years old. At 12 years old, you were dealing drugs on the streets because that was the only way to survive.
Fatty finally pulled the curtain back and revealed the man who blasted him 9 times. An ambush that completely flipped his whole world upside down. We're diving straight into that wild day when Curtis James Jackson, better known as 50 Cent, had his body riddled with bullets, and why the man behind the trigger wanted him gone in the first place. This was way before 50 became a rap mogul, when he was just another hungry kid grinding to survive in the chaos of Queens. Back in the 1980s, South Jamaica was one of the roughest hoods in New York, and the streets were on fire with the crack epidemic. For young 50, it wasn't about chasing music, it was about chasing survival. By the time he hit just 12 years old, he wasn't playing games anymore. He was already knee-deep in hustling, learning the rules of the game in a world where money and power came with deadly risks. But the pain behind his grind ran deeper than the streets. His mom passed away when he was only 8, leaving him to grow up without her love and without his father in the picture.
I'll tell you personally, the Murder Inc., the people that you see like Irv, Ja, the people that are involved in the business aspect are bitches. Like these niggas don't got no hood.
With no real parents to guide him, the only role models he had were the street legends running South Jamaica. These were the men stacking serious paper, calling shots and building empires right out in the open. And among those street kings, one name stood out louder than the rest: Kenneth McGriff, the man they called Supreme. His reputation was larger than life, and for a young hustler like 50, crossing paths with someone like him would change everything forever. Supreme wasn't just another hustler, he was a full-blown kingpin in South Jamaica. His very name carried weight that could freeze anybody in their tracks because everybody in the hood knew he wasn't the one to play with. To the streets, 50 Cent looked like he had superhero potential, but in reality, Supreme was the man running the chessboard. He had a tight inner circle, and they called themselves the Supreme Team. Their product? White powder. Their customer base? The same streets of South Jamaica where kids grew up watching them move like stars. Word on the block was wild. At the height of their empire in 1987, the crew was rumored to be bringing in around $200,000 a day. Imagine that, 200 grand flowing in every single day from one neighborhood hustle. Now, Supreme wasn't some international cartel boss making billion-dollar moves, but his operation was still so massive it had other crews green with jealousy. His network was stacked deep, with hundreds of members moving under his banner, and crossing them was like signing your own death wish. These weren't just corner boys. Some of them were straight-up killers who made sure the money pipeline never slowed down. The Supreme Team had its own lineup of heavy hitters, too. B, Righteous, Baby Wise, Gerald Miller, better known as Prince, Supreme's cousin, and a stone-cold figure everybody just called Black. But here's the kicker. Out of all the faces in that empire, 50 Cent somehow formed a special kind of bond with them. And that connection, it would come back around in the most explosive way imaginable. People in the neighborhood used to say Black was like the big brother 50 never had. He looked out for him heavy, bought him his first motorcycle, and even put him in a boxing gym to keep him sharp. When 50 wasn't sparring in the ring, he was down in a friend's basement, laying tracks over raw beats, starting to carve his way into music. By 1996, his passion was too strong to ignore. A homie introduced him to Jam Master Jay from Run DMC, and that was a turning point. Jay became his mentor, showing him how to count bars, hook a chorus, and turn street rhymes into polished records. With Jay's guidance, 50 was finally stepping into the rap game for real. But here's the twist. Supreme caught that same rap fever too. Back in '87, he had been arrested and hit with a 12-year bid for running a criminal enterprise. Yet he only served 5 before walking free on parole in '94. And when he came home, hip-hop was on fire across the country. Supreme saw rap as his way out of the drug game, a clean hustle with legit money and power. By the early 2000s, he linked up with Murder Inc., one of the biggest labels in the industry. With Irv Gotti steering the ship, Murder Inc. was untouchable, pumping out hit after hit, and Supreme wanted in on that empire. Murder Inc. was stacked with talent. Black Child, Charlie Baltimore, Ashanti, and of course, Ja Rule, who was running the charts at the time. Having Supreme in their corner gave the whole label extra muscle in the streets, and it boosted their reputation instantly. Ja Rule was one of the hottest rappers in the country, and with Supreme backing Murder Inc., it felt like nothing could stop them. The label was printing money and the vibe was sky high until 1999 when everything hit a bump. During a music video shoot, Ja Rule got his chain snatched by a guy named Troy. Word spread that Troy did it because he thought Ja had been messing with his wife. That rumor alone had the streets buzzing, but Supreme quickly flexed his power, pulling strings to get Ja's chain back, proving how valuable he really was to Murder Inc. Still, that situation ended up sparking something much bigger. According to 50, the drama really kicked off when Ja spotted Troy chopping it up with him at a club. That's when the whispers of betrayal started flying. Ja Rule convinced himself 50 had played a role in the robbery, but 50 brushed it off, saying he was only hanging out with Troy because they were friends. Now here's what makes it wild. 50 was just an underground rapper signed to Columbia at the time. No debut album, no major hits. Meanwhile, Ja was a platinum-selling superstar with a powerhouse label behind him. It looked insane for 50 to even try going head-to-head with Ja, but he wasn't backing down. He had nothing but raw street smarts and an untouchable confidence.
Is when you see a nigga in this fucking studio or wherever, and the nigga wanna talk, and niggas is like, nah, ain't nothing to talk about, right? It's like 5 of us and 5 of them, and niggas is getting it on and fighting and bang. Some way, somehow, the lights got hit off, and niggas was getting it on in the dark.
Yet, Ja Rule later denied the whole Troy story, saying their beef had nothing to do with that at all. Instead, he claimed the real issue started because of Murder Inc.'s growing problems with 50 directly. When 50 showed up to the Murder for Life video shoot, the Murder Inc. crew hit him with the cold shoulder, and the timing couldn't have been more suspicious. It was right after the whole chain-snatching mess, so everybody was side-eyeing the situation. Nobody really knows the exact spark that lit this feud, but one thing's clear: 50 wasn't about to let any form of disrespect slide. Before he moved reckless, he supposedly sat down with Supreme. Word is, Supreme told him, "Leave this little dude alone. Whatever issues you've got, this is my business." But instead of calming the storm, it only added more fuel. 50 came back swinging harder, throwing shade at the entire Murder Inc. squad, including Irv Gotti himself. Things really hit the next level when 50 and Ja Rule crossed paths at the Swiss Hotel in Atlanta, where both were booked for the same show. 50's manager, Chaz Williams, thought maybe it'd be smart to get the two to sit down, talk it out, and possibly squash the beef once and for all. But instead of a peaceful talk, fists started flying. What was supposed to be a heart-to-heart turned into straight chaos. And in the middle of all that, 50 somehow managed to snatch Ja Rule's chain, flipping the tables on him completely. 50 wasted no time letting the world know what went down. He dropped a diss track called "Your Life's on the Line," and in the music video, he pulled one of the boldest, most humiliating stunts in rap history, rocking Ja Rule's chain like it was his own. The disrespect was on another level. Eventually, Supreme managed to get Ja's chain back from 50, but not before 50 walked away with a shiny new watch in the deal. Even now, people still bring up that video as one of the coldest moments ever in hip-hop beef. That stunt was the ultimate slap to Ja Rule's pride, and from there, things got darker fast. Murder Inc. tried to shut doors on 50 in the music business, throwing roadblocks at every turn and stalling his rise. But the tension didn't just stay in the industry, it spilled straight back into the streets. On March 24, 2000, things exploded at the legendary Hit Factory studio in New York. Both J. Rule and 50 happened to be there, working in separate rooms. When Ja found out 50 was in the same building, he convinced his boys to step in and handle it for him, since he couldn't throw hands himself, being stuck on crutches at the time. That's when it turned into an all-out war. 50 and his crew clashed with Black Child and other Murder Inc. members in a straight-up brawl inside the studio. It wasn't just rap beef anymore. This was personal, raw, and violent, the kind of fight that stamped this feud into hip-hop history forever. In the chaos of that studio fight, one man stood out: Black Child. He was the one who stabbed 50 during the brawl, leaving him bleeding in the dark. But 50, tough as nails, survived the attack and lived to tell the story. Black Child didn't get away clean, though. He landed behind bars, and a judge even hit him with a restraining order to keep 50 safe from Murder, Inc. That legal move set off rumors in the streets, with people whispering that maybe 50 was working with the law. But what really made Supreme and his crew flip on him wasn't court talk. It was music. When 50 dropped his track Ghetto Quran, everything changed. On that record, he name-dropped hustlers, drug dealers, and street bosses all over Queens. To the industry, it was a bold rap track. But to the streets, it looked like he was putting their business out in the open, for the feds to hear too. 50 swore he wasn't snitching, though. He insisted it was a tribute, a way of paying respect to the OGs who built the game before him. But Supreme didn't buy it, not one bit. For him, the record was the final straw. Word is, he decided 50 was a problem that needed to be erased. And to make it happen, he allegedly put down $25,000 for a hit. Then came May 24th, 2000. It was just past noon when 50 was chilling outside his grandmother's house in Queens with his friend Curtis Brown. They were in the car with Curtis's girlfriend riding along, and everything seemed normal until it wasn't. Right before heading out, 50 had stepped back into the house to grab his diamond pen, and when he returned, he slid into the back seat. He did notice a car creeping down the block, but brushed it off. Seconds later, that decision would change his life forever. That spray of bullets tore 50 apart. Shots ripped through his face, arms, legs, hip, and even his chest. He was hit everywhere. The aftermath was brutal. His tongue swelled up, his leg was shattered, and he even lost a wisdom tooth. And here's the wild part. That's what left him with his trademark slurred voice we all recognize today. After the ambush, he spent 13 long days in the hospital before doctors finally let him go home. The shooter? A man named Daryl Homo Baum, who wasn't just some random street guy. He was once Mike Tyson's bodyguard. But this wasn't just about 50. Supreme had a whole list of enemies lined up. He allegedly ordered hits on other names like E-Money Bags and Big Nose Troy. But his empire didn't last. By 2001, Supreme's world collapsed when he got handed a life sentence without parole. For 50, though, that near-death moment flipped his whole journey upside down. At first, he hit rock bottom, Columbia Records dropped him, and his career looked dead. But once he healed up, he came back hungrier than ever. He jumped back into the booth and dropped the mixtape Guess Who's Back, a project so hot it shook the streets. That tape ended up in the hands of none other than Eminem, who signed him to Shady Records. And from there, 50's story turned into history. What's your take on how 50 survived every obstacle life threw at him? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button, share, and subscribe for all the latest hip-hop stories delivered straight to your feed. And as always, keep it locked because there's way more coming your way.